Okay, let's talk about setting up a video file in Pro Tools. So I'm about ready to make my project here in Pro Tools, and the film standard is 48K 24-bit. So you want to make sure your sample rate is 48K and your bit depth is 24-bit here. Um, and interleaved is good too, because then stereo files won't be split into left and right mono. And I'm just gonna save my movie project here to my documents, and I have a video file here that I have chosen, and I'm going to import it. So a little bit about how files are linked and how that works. Uh, so I think it's the best thing to do. Here is my Finder. Here's my little movie project. Here's my Pro Tools session folder called Movie Project on my documents on my local hard disk. And you want the video files to go in the video files folder, obviously. If we were just to kind of import the file like this, right, import video, if we were to do that, then I think I have one here on the desktop, right? It's going to link to the file on the desktop, and we don't want to do that exactly, right? We want to manually copy it over. This is one of those things you kind of have to just manually copy it over. So when we copy anything over, get out of the way. When we copy anything over here, we want a source and a destination. So the source is, I got a file on the desktop. It's right over here. The destination is, I want to go to my movie project folder in my documents, video files, right? So I just drag that over like that. Boom. So now, what have I done there? So I basically have all of my media assets in one folder. As you know, when you make a new Pro Tools session, it's stored on your drive and it makes a folder. This one I call Movie Project. It's on my documents here with all my other junk. And when I have audio files imported, they'll go in the audio files folder if I record anything or import anything. If I have a video file, then it's right here in the video files folder. Now I'm going to import file, import video, or see the key command there. It's nice. Key command if you want. And I'm going to go to my Pro Tools folder, Movie Project, Video Files, and there's my file right there. Okay, cool. There's some options here that we can use. Import audio from video file, that's always good to do as a reference track. Oftentimes they're muting that, though. It's just kind of camera audio or picture edit audio, the picture editor, or temp score stuff. So you're usually going to discard it when you're doing kind of sound design work. So, but I bring it in anyway. So I'm going to click OK. And it's going to put that in the audio files folder. I got really lucky this time. And my frame rate looked like it was on. So my frame rate here, as you can see, is 29.97 frames per second, which is probably the most common frame rate. If this is white, you're all good. You don't have to worry about it. So Pro Tools has a frame rate that it uses. So in the session setup window, here's a long way to get there. Setup, session, or Command 2 on the number pad will hide and show this funny window here, this useful window. And I'm just going to intentionally put the frame rate off. This is the timecode rate. This is the setting you want to be concerned about. So let's just go to 24 frames per second, which is a standard film frame. And before I do that, notice this frame over here. Notice this frame rate is saying it's 29.97. It's lining up with this timecode right here in the session setup window. Let's intentionally set Pro Tools to 24 frames per second, which is more of a film frame rate, right? Notice how that turned red. It means that now Pro Tools is counting the frames differently, right? We want to set this, if it's red when you bring in your video file, you want to set it to what this says, 29.97, 29.97. It's white and it's not red. That's basically all you have to be concerned about. So what this means is that the video has a certain number of frames per second that it's playing back at, and Pro Tools has a timecode rate that it plays the session back. So you can still work if this is out of sync. Let's say I go to 25 frames per second. Now it's red. I can still work, but then, and you may not notice it if you're doing like a minute video, but if it gets longer beyond that, then you'll have a type of drift when the file exports. And so I've seen this happen to people. So you want to make sure that your frame rate is in sync. Cool. So that's the first thing we're going to do there. And the second thing we're going to do is, we have the video in here. I believe this is just, an example sound design. The second thing my video window is over here. This is Command 9 on the number pad, right? So that would be Command 9 or Control 9 brings up the video window, right? And as we move stuff around, if I select in or if I make an edit, if I move my cursor around, you can see, I'm just going to copy a little bit here, and let's make a new track here. Let's make a stereo audio track, and I'm just going to paste my little clip of audio here, even though I'm just extracting it from that. As I move this clip around, if I zoom in here, you can see that the visual or the video will adjust to wherever I place the clip. So that's how you precisely place things in time. Another thing you might want to, you don't have to do this, but it's a good habit to get into using the right time value, which is time code. So I'm just going to click on the time code there, and then I'm going to, from my drop down menu, time code, and then click on time code. Now I'm in the time counter that is in the video world or in the film industry. This is time code. So this stands for, so bring up my window here. This stands for hours, minutes, seconds, frames, right? This is 29.97 frames. And what I can do is I can take this clip here and I can set my nudge value to, I'm up here in the right. I'm going to set my nudge value. This is just another way to kind of get set up for working with video. Time code, and I want 1 frame, right? And so, and nudge, what is nudge? It is move something by a short increment. So I can nudge this little clip around by plus and minus. And look at it, it's going by frames. When I get to 29, then boom, the next frame advances the second counter. And let me zoom in here to see even a little bit more. So you can see this. Let's get to something with a little bit more action going on. So maybe this fire, or there's some asteroid stuff going on here. Yeah, so maybe here. And so you can just see a little bit more action going on here. So things are moving kind of slowly there, but I can nudge. Here's a little bit more fast when I get to this fire here. So I can nudge frame by frame, right? So that's a great increment to move something. If I had a little bit more action moving around, this is like kind of a slow moving video, but you'd see all the motion would be occurring on that. So I'm just nudging. I'm just holding my audio clip and I'm nudging it. So we got time code. We have our frame rate synced up. You want to make sure that's linked up. We want to make sure our video is imported. That'll get you set up in the correct format now for this video, for working with video in Pro Tools.